Hi there, this is Fixed It. Got this old PowerBook G3 battery from my old PowerBook G3, which is completely dead, and I plan to resell it, but obviously the batteries are stuck inside this plastic case. In part 1 I started opening the case, and now what I'm going to do in part 2 is to generally go around the outside of the case with my 1/2 inch chisel, ever so gently tap the seam. It's important that you don't hit too hard when you're doing this. If you do, then what you'll do is you'll pierce the case, breaking the seam completely and possibly damage the batteries and the electronics inside. So you need to do this very carefully and very slowly. It really is a case of slower is quicker in this regard. Once you've actually managed to crack the case, it will be quite easy to just use your fingers to very gently pull the battery case apart. Don't use a lot of force, because what you don't want to do is to rip it open and snap all the minute PCB electronic cables inside and possibly damage the batteries as well. Otherwise it won't be resellable, i.e. putting new cells in, and it won't be reusable. Now I've safely broken the seam around the battery, I can open it up and take a proper look at the batteries inside. One of the first jobs I'm going to do is to take a photograph of the inside to make sure I understand how the wiring is done inside the battery and which batteries are connected together and where those batteries are connected within the printed circuit board inside the battery housing. Before we go any further, I just need to check that there's no residual current or voltage left in these batteries before I start disconnecting them. Don't want to risk shorting anything out. 0.9 volt in this set here. They're all pretty much dead. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a negative to this end and a positive to this end on just this battery, and then I'm going to use a charger just to give it a little bit of charge to see if it actually takes any, and then I'm going to do that with each of the cells and figure out which cells are dead. Now under normal circumstances where I was planning to use the machine continuously from now on, what I'd do is replace all the batteries, but as I only use this intermittently, I'm not really going to spend more money on a new set of batteries than the machine's worth. So what I'm going to do is to look to see which batteries are still good here, and then replace the dead ones with some other good ones I've obtained from another battery pack, and that should hopefully give me an hour and a half's working time. In order to ensure I don't actually damage this cable, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off, and this is one where you just gently push at the side edges like that, and then you can pull the cable out. The other thing to note is that that was its position, not where the numbers are, so it must go on the white side up. Make a note for yourself as you video it, otherwise you might put it the wrong way around and damage it. This is our thermistor, which is a thermal resistor, and what happens with that is that's sat here just in case there's a problem with the battery pack and it overheats. So before it bursts into flames, this little device here, the resistance of it goes really high, and it basically switches the power supply, charging, and the battery off, disconnecting it to prevent a fire. So what you need to do is to ensure that you don't damage this, and it's basically replaced in the same place that it currently is. These battery covers can be gently prized off and reused. Again, make note of where they go and put them safely in the box. And what we can see from this is that all of these batteries have been spot welded together, every one of them, which is quite an interesting arrangement the way that they've done it. Positive, 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 negative, negative, all connected together in series. Make a note of that, because when you go to rebuild the pack you need to have this exact same configuration so we don't have a problem. There is this plastic separator down the middle, and that's because we move from positives to negatives here, and we don't want any of the batteries touching, because if you did, then huge cells would short circuit and you'd end up with a fire very quickly. So make sure that you know where this goes, the way it's oriented, and that it goes back in exactly the same place. This is the battery terminal, and what we'll need to do is to take these off and put them all safe. You want to take this off and take out the printed circuit board and put it somewhere safe so it doesn't get damaged, and then make sure it goes back in exactly the same place. So you've done something sneaky here, which is to glue one of the main ICs onto the bottom of the battery, obviously to prevent it from being removed or being changed by fools like me. So that needs to be taken off very gently. Do not damage this printed circuit board or that chip in trying to force it off, so take it off very gently. If need be, cut it off with a razor blade. I've got this very sharp dental hook and I can pick away at that glue until such time as it comes loose. There we go. And I'm just going to take me like this, and I'm just going to take me time doing it. Until I've broken the entire seal. It's really tempting with these things to rush it and think you know what you're dealing with. Don't. I speak from years of experience of occasionally trying to rush things. If you're feeling angry and stressed because it's not coming out easily, then get up and walk about before you come back calmly and redo it. There we go. We get some substantial pieces coming off. Okay. Now, with a bit of luck, we may well be able to lift this entire printed circuit board off if they haven't glued it to somewhere else, which they may well have done. Let's lift that off and see if we can lift this out. Aha! Okay. There's another wire down there. I don't know what it's connected to. I should imagine an earth on the batteries. So don't pull this, because if you do, you're going to damage all that section. So what I need to do now is to take a blunt knife or a piece of plastic and get under these batteries and lift them up and off, and then this PCB will come with them. I have a favourite tool for doing this, which is Grandma's old bone china knife that are blunt, round ended, and you can gently use it. It's very springy, and you can gently use it to get underneath the batteries and lift them off. And he's well and truly stuck. So I'll just take my time and ease the whole thing off. The flexibility of this china knife means that I can move very gently and slowly underneath all the batteries doing this, but you have to be really careful, because don't forget, some of these batteries, the negative and positive, are changed over. So what I don't want to do is end up splitting any of this plastic, because otherwise some of the batteries may end up shorting and overheating. What a sticky mess that is. Okay, let's move over here. I also don't want to break the case. Now we begin to hear the sound of tape detaching. Now what I'm going to do is to use some plastic tools in there just to keep that apart. I hope you liked the video. Please check out my other videos. There's some great money saving tips. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.